Now, most businesses actually suffer from a wide range of problems that aren't just sales. So sales is probably the number one problem in most businesses. However, it's not always just a lead generation problem. So you may be thinking, "Oh, if I had an extra 20 calls in my calendar next month, my business would be booming. It'd be growing at a huge rate." But a lot of businesses actually overlook some other crucial aspects. For example, what your show up rate is. Now, this is something that is quite a small metric and not many people track it, but it's something that really is honestly overlooked by so many businesses. And the reason it's so important is it's no good booking an extra 20 or 30 calls a month if no one's showing up to them. This is something that can be really easily fixed, but it's not necessarily a lead generation problem. It's more of a sort of follow-up and nurture problem to get prospects to actually show up to calls. What we've done to actually increase our show rate significantly is we use a scheduling platform called Calendly. So this is where our prospects will go in, put in their details, put in their name, put in their email, put in their phone number, and book a time to talk with us. You can actually see our Calendly link down in the description below if you want to book a time to talk with me about your client acquisition. But anyway, people will book calls, and typically most businesses just won't send them any sort of material and won't follow up with them at all until they turn up to the call. Now, if you do this, you might have a 50% show rate. Say you book 10 calls, around 5 of them might show if you don't give them any sort of confirmation or any acknowledgement or any reminders before the call. But what we've actually implemented, and it's really easy to do this with Calendly, is to do a sequence of follow-ups. So we'll follow up with the lead 24 hours before the call, 1 hour before the call, and 10 minutes before the call on both email and text, right? And this has basically taken our show rate from about 50% to 85 to 90%, which has made a huge difference to our sales of our business. As you can imagine, it's basically almost doubled the sales of our business by just making this really small tweak with what we use to schedule our calls. Now, another massive thing which has actually really helped our conversion rates in calls as well is by sending case studies before someone joins a call. Once they booked a call, to the time they actually hop on the call is usually a few days elapses. It may even be a week, depending on when people's availability is. But during that time, you don't just want to completely forget about them. This is your chance to actually build trust and give them something to talk about in the call, right? So what you want to do is be sending over case studies. You want to be sending over previous results. You want to be sending over information, value, the agenda of the call, anything that's just going to help warm them up, bring them up to speed with everything that you're going to be discussing. This will significantly increase your conversion rates, and it's something that we put in place and it's made a huge difference. The second big problem faced by companies that isn't just lead generation but directly correlates to lead generation is actually your retention and your churn rate. So a lead generation problem will obviously get rid of the need for more sales, but what it won't get rid of is how many of your clients are actually leaving you. So for example, say you want to build up a business of $1 million a year annual revenue, and your average client is worth, say, $8,000 a month, right? You only need 10 of those clients to build up roughly a $1 million a year business. So instead of just trying to get new clients on every single month, knowing that the other ones are leaving, what you could do is just slowly build it up and just say you've got 5 clients on, you only need an extra 5 across a span of a few months, as long as you've kept your original clients. The reason that retention is so important is it usually costs so much more to get a new client on than to keep one of your current clients. So the cost of acquisition is much higher than the cost of retention. And this is really key for long-term success. So if you're constantly losing your clients are churning, your retention is really poor, it's going to be really hard to build a successful, sustainable, long-term business. And ultimately, lead generation is not going to solve your problem of retention. The only thing that will solve your problem of retention primarily is your product or your service. Making that better, constantly doing user feedback forms, constantly talking to your clients, better communication, all of these things are going to significantly improve your retention. And the reason that it correlates so much to lead generation is as soon as you have higher retention, your clients obviously value your product and your service more, which means you can create more case studies from it. all right, which I'm going to get onto in a little bit, just talk about the value of the case studies. But the better your service, the better your product, it makes it a hell of a lot easier to market, because if it works for other people, people love to relate to others. If it works for someone else, they'll most likely try it. So some of the best form of marketing can actually be word of mouth, and you're only going to get this from high levels of retention, working on your service, working on your product, and that's really going to help you for long-term growth. So this is what we're really focusing on at the moment, is just product. How can we make our service much better? And the third problem that we always see that links to lead generation but isn't directly lead generation is the branding or social presence of the company that we're working with. So for example, we've had it before where we've had clients and they've basically got no website, or they've got a website that they built themselves in 10 minutes. And what's going to happen is when you're sending emails out or sending LinkedIn messages out, people are going to check you out. They're going to see, this person's obviously messaged me, trying to sell me something. Should I trust them? And usually the first thing they'll do is either go on their website or their LinkedIn. If this isn't properly optimized, you significantly reduce your chances of making a sale. So if your website looks like it's just been built by a 10-year-old in 5 minutes, which our sort of does at the moment, which is why we're investing into our branding, then your conversion rate is going to be significantly lower. I was speaking to another expert in lead generation lately, and they said they had 2 clients that were in the same sort of field, same sort of service, and very, very comparable. But one had a website that they invested a lot of money into, and one had just a very average website. And the results of the email campaigns were vastly different. The one with the significantly better website actually got 4 times better results and 4 times more sales from their email campaigns. Now, the scripts were roughly the same. Everything was roughly the same for the email. So why was it such a big difference? It's because people go onto your website and go onto your LinkedIn and they automatically get a feel for what you're about, what your level of quality is, what your level of service is. People always have sort of stereotypes and prejudice towards your social presence. So if you've got a very strong social presence, everything's optimized on your website and your LinkedIn, you'll find it much easier making sales. So this is usually something that we recommend to all of our clients, is to increase their level of online presence, increase their branding, invest in their website, invest in making their LinkedIn better, and you'll actually see your lead generation campaigns perform way better.